Interesting questions, and it's important for your audience to know that we didn't rehearse this. It's
No. And
because that's no. But what I'm saying, Chris, is it's the key.
hey, everybody, welcome back to the channel. I've got Alain Lambert with me, and we're going to talk about silver, how it's probably the most, and I do mean the most undervalued asset on the planet. We're going to talk about his company and just kind of work around some of the things us precious metals holders think about. And I'll start with saying, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Chris, for having me on your channel.
Absolutely. So, why did you get in the space to begin with? I get an opportunity to interview people as you like yourself, and I used to watch these videos, and now I have the opportunity to host them. So I can ask any question I want. And guys, if you have any questions for Mr. Lambert, leave them in the comments. And if you're interested in Prismo, I'll leave it in the comments and put it in the description as well. But but why get in the space? And why did you start there? What happened?
So I started pretty much like I would think a lot of your listeners. So I sort of dabbled in mining stocks. I was always interested in precious metal exploration and mining. And given my background, my legal background and capital markets advisory role, in 2019, I decided to jump in with 2 feet and co-founded Prismo Metals with two doctors in geology. Our CEO, Craig Gibson, who's one of the co-founders, and another doctor in geology, Dr. Peter McGaw, and I'm sure some of your listeners would have heard of Dr. McGaw, who has had a number of very large silver discoveries under his belt, and we're proud to have him on board at Prismo.
Were you a stacker beforehand? Have you been stacking silver for a long time?
No, but the more I get involved in on the exploration side, the more I learn about it, the more I get excited about it. So I'm certainly stacking shares of silver companies, and and Prismo. I think it'll be interesting for your listeners because it's right at the heart of what is probably the next big silver district in Mexico, and I think we all know that Prismo is one of the most prolific mining jurisdictions for silver.
Right. And Mexico is pretty much the silver. That's where to be. That's where you need to be if you're looking for silver most of the time, I would say. As far as Prismo being undervalued, because it is, in my opinion, I actually reached out to Mr. Lambert because I was looking at his company and I noticed how undervalued it was. So, what do you think the reason is Prismo and other companies like Prismo are undervalued?
That's a great question, and the shares of mining exploration companies will follow the cycles more or less of the underlying precious metals. But so um, if we return to Prismo and our silver assets, which is a property that we have called Palos Verdes, that is a property in Mexico that we have drilled 3 times now, and it was the main asset of the company when we took it public in 2020 after founding it in 2019. And what happened is that we became surrounded by a much larger player called Vizsla Silver, and Vizsla Silver is Vancouver based. VZLA is their symbol. They came in and they assembled the Panuco district. They have an initial reserve report they issued last year. The market is expecting a new one early this year. And I think when this is going to be published, people are going to see that the Panuco district, where Vizsla is and where we are, and where that we're that piece of the district. I think that investors will be looking at the Panuco district for years to come as a major silver discovery, major district in Mexico. And I would add also, Chris, that Vizsla made an investment in Prismo a couple of weeks back. They own a little bit more than 10% of Prismo. And as part of the strategic relationship with them, we did two things in addition to the investment. So we gave them a right of first refusal on our property. And then we will be creating a technical committee to look at the Panuco district, including their land and our land. And the members of that committee will be a representative of our company, which will be Craig Gibson, who's our CEO. The VP exploration of Vizsla is going to be on there, and there'll be a third party, which we're in discussions with some people to add to the mix, and we'll be looking to building out that silver district in a very meaningful ways in the years to come.
So, hopefully I'll have the opportunity to go to some more mines. I got to go to a few of them, a couple of them. And what's the hardest thing to get going? What is the first steps you take when you're developing a company like Prismo?
The first thing that you need is a technical team that has an ability to look at a project on a regional scale, and a lot of the juniors, people will be drilling that vein here and that vein there, and they have a very traditional approach to looking at things. You need the one mine that will be able to look at all of that district and try to figure out what's at play here from a geological standpoint. One person that's very well qualified to come up with a long-term plan, and then you have the boots on the ground doing the work. But you need to have this technical mind, very experienced, that will not focus on a particular part of a property, but more of a regional approach to things. And that's how you find big mines.
There's one other thing I liked about Prismo was it has a big deposit of gold. I didn't realize that. Can you talk about that some?
Yeah, so in Sonora State, there's a large gold prospect. It's the one I mentioned, Palos Verdes. Los Pavitos in Sonora State, 5,300 hectares. And we are very much looking at this from a regional standpoint. So if people go onto our website or your website and look at our investor presentation, they will see. So there is a very long trend through southern United States, northern Mexico, that has all of these historical large high grades gold mines, and on our property we just ran a lot of surface work. We had people do sampling, mapping. Last year we ran a LiDAR system survey, and then you see where in the old days where people would work at surface, right? So therefore there was mineralization if people were digging ore out of the ground. And so you put all of that together and you get a good understanding of what could be there. And that property, Los Pavitos, is yes, a gold prospect. So you've got silver at Palos Verdes, and then we have gold at Los Pavitos.
Okay, so in closing, the people that are investing now are going to get more than likely a better deal than the people that had to lock up their money in the beginning. Am I right about that?
Well, that's very interesting questions, and it's important for your audience to know that we didn't rehearse this.
No.
Because no. But what I'm saying, Chris, is it's the key. What you're asking me is absolutely the key, and this is what I would describe Prismo as, to answering specifically your question. So you look at last year's Prismo, we had the two same properties and all of the same upside. right? But we had very little cash. Move forward to today. What has changed? Exact same upside on the silver property, on the gold property, and we now have, in addition to that, $5 million in the bank in cash and marketable securities. So we are a big shareholder of Vizsla as a result of the transaction. We have three institutions that each own 5% because we did a $3 million institutional placement in December, and we also added some very strong investment banking relationships. PI Financial did our private placement. Agentis was our advisor on the deal with Vizsla. So we have same upside or more because last year drilling Palos Verdes, we learned a lot. And then we have all of these things in addition to. So I would agree. The risk profile, let's put it this way, is different now than it used to be in the past. That's for sure.
Right. So, that's the kind of companies I like to try to bring up to you guys is the ones that nothing has changed. Everything is the same. But, in the environment we're in, the metal hasn't moved very much. It has moved, but, you're still getting in where the guys that got in have been just sitting there and waiting. You're getting a better deal than a lot of those people. So that's the way I like to look at it. And it takes a special person to be a contrarian. Let's be honest. I mean, a lot of people think they are, but when the price falls a little bit and you don't buy more, well, you might not be, that strong of a contrarian as you thought you were. And a lot of guys, that I've got over 50 of these mining stocks, and I am consistently buying them as they come down. I just can't see it any other way. When the price of silver goes up, the miners are going to move. I think it's going to be unbelievable. I think it's going to be the craziest thing I'll probably ever experience in my investment career.
Well, I would add to that, Chris. Remember what Peter McGough says, right? So you have to look for things that are going to be very profitable, regardless of the cycle. And then to your point, then if the price of the commodity goes up, then it's all gravy. It should be, the price going up should be gravy. Should not be to make something that's not economical to make it economical.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you so much for coming on with me, Mr. Lambert. And for everybody, get in the description. I want to encourage you to go through the company. Just look at everything we talked about, and make up your own mind. Don't ever take what somebody says on YouTube for gospel or investment advice. I'm not a financial advisor for sure, neither is Mr. Lambert. But we do need to try to put these kind of companies in front of my audience, and I'm going to consistently do this kind of hey, look at this type situation. I'll never tell you to buy anything, but I do want you to look at them. And thanks again for coming on, buddy.
That'd be great. Thank you very much for inviting me. I look forward to coming back in the near future.
Yes, sir. Guys, have an awesome day. We'll see you in the next one. Later.